Hi, I'm Gordon Smith and I'm a medium. Some people wonder what a medium does. Well, for me, I have a sensitivity, an ability, or a gift, some people would call it, to get messages from our spirit loved ones who have passed away. This is something that I have been able to do since I was very young. As a little boy, I often saw people that my parents had said had died, although to me they were still very much alive. I would hear them talk, I would see visions of them, and quite often I would tell my parents, who would become very shocked when their little boy was telling them about people they thought were dead, who were still living and giving messages, actual messages that they could understand. Through my life, mediumship has followed me. In my early 20s, I saw a friend appear in my bedroom at the moment he died in a fire. At the time, I wasn't aware that he had died, but I was quite shocked to see this guy just appear in my bedroom. The following day, I heard that he passed away, sadly, the night before. But what that told me was that this ability to see people who had died and to know that they hadn't actually died, it could help people. And I found that where someone is very sad and they've had a loss, and because of that loss they can't function in their life, the grief they feel is too much, and quite a lot of people just give up living because they've lost someone. So the work of a medium can get them back into this world, back living again, if they can give them that closure, that unfinished business, a message from the other side. There are many people out there who have the same gift and abilities as me. There are many people who have gifts of healing and sensitivity. Some people have the gift of seeing the future, prophecy, where it comes to them in dreams. Something I've learned is to help people who have these gifts, because for me it was very difficult in the early days to find a place where I could train and learn about this strange other world. Now it seems so common to me, and even more so because I teach thousands of people a year all over the world who come along wanting to know what they can do about their strange gifts. And then they find out the gifts are not so strange when they can put them to use. Each year I run training camps in Scotland, England, Switzerland, Germany, and the people who come along to me are curious. Some are frightened because they have this ability and they don't know what to do with it. So it's my job to take their fear away. Something that I have none is fear when it comes to the spirit world, when it comes to seeing the future, because there is nothing to fear but fear itself. Once again, we are only afraid of things we don't know. So if I can educate people about the reality of this afterlife, it does take away their fear of dying. And I've always said, if we can lose our fear of dying, we can definitely lose our fear of living. This is something that I find most of the students who come and see me, they leave happier, they leave more balanced, and they leave all their fear behind. Because once they have seen the proof that the spirit world lives on, it does something to their very soul. I know that we cannot die. I have proved this tens of thousands of times to many people all over the world. It doesn't matter if there's a different language. The spirit world still want to come through and tell us that they haven't died. Just recently, I had to sit with a lady and gentleman whose young son was killed tragically. The mother was so sad, so broken, that she couldn't go on. She actually was sleeping on the grave of her son. Her husband was distraught because he didn't know how to help his wife. There was no doctor, no medicine could actually help this lady. The pain in her heart, the grief she felt was killing her. Somehow he managed to find his way to a friend of mine and ask if I would give a reading, a sitting to these people. And I did. And within moments, this young man called Alex came to me and told me to tell his mum to stop sleeping on his grave. The woman was so shocked by this news because she knew she had never met me. She knew I didn't know that information, but the very information shocked her. It woke her up. Afterwards, she told me, I felt that my grief had made me in a sleep state, that I could hear people talk, but I couldn't react. And she says, the news from my son that only I and my husband knew shocked me enough that it woke me up and brought me back into this life. That is the quality of what mediumship can do for people who are suffering the loss of a loved one. It has a healing effect, and that's why we use it. During my training courses, I teach people to turn their mind to the positive energies, to build a positive and constructive attitude. Part of my mediumship training is about meditating, about fixing your mind and making you a stronger, better person who uses their gift in such a way that it causes betterment and healing for people who have had a loss. Not just that, the practice of meditation and the training of mediumship helps you to understand your life. It actually helps you to become much more at ease and at peace with yourself and with other people. I think when we learn that we cannot die, that we're going to know some people for a long time, a lot longer than just this one life. So therefore it makes us look at people differently. And it means that instead of disliking people or hurting people, we have to get to like people. We have to know how to live alongside everyone in a balanced, good way. Being a medium means that you value this life as well as the next life. I teach everyone, even if I know we're going to live on after this physical life is ended, we still have to value this life. And again, a big part of what I've learned in my training was how to be happy with the time I have on this physical journey. I want to make other people who come to my courses very happy, because I can try to empty their mind of the confusing thoughts. And most of these confusing thoughts come from what I spoke about earlier, pure fear. Everything that causes us harm and damage in this world usually originates in fearful thinking. So for me, one of the exercises that I try to teach all my students at the very beginning is how to sit in the quiet of your own mind. Now that may seem very simple in words, but in actual fact, how many people can sit in a quiet, contented mind? Most people, when they close their eyes, even at night to go to sleep, find that they have disturbing thoughts moving through their mind. Quite often people can't sleep, can't function because of these disturbing thoughts. They're afraid of what's going to happen tomorrow. Some are afraid of things they've done today or yesterday. The idea of clearing your mind and being able to sit in that balanced energy means that you can see clearly and you totally understand your life, its purpose, and the journey that you're on. A simple exercise like sitting in the quiet of your mind, or sitting in the power, as we call it, is something that I offer to all my students, and I'm going to offer it to you now. The first thing you must do is to find a place to sit quietly, as quiet a space as you can find, but somewhere comfortable in your own home. You have to learn how to sit for meditation, which is to put both your feet flat on the floor and to sit with your body as straight as you will allow you to take a position on a chair, straight back with your head slightly tilted back, and just start to breathe. First of all, your breathing should be long and deliberate. So, just start to pull the breath into your body. And as you do, tell yourself to relax. And just follow your breath in and out of your body. Breathing in and relaxing. And as you breathe out, just release any tension or stress. Start to feel your shoulders becoming heavier. Feel your body relaxing into the chair. And just let go. Any thoughts that come through your mind, just let them pass. The idea is not to try to control your thinking. Just let it flow through your mind. Don't follow it. Don't try to do anything with it. Just replace thinking with breathing. very soon you will find that your breathing takes its own natural rhythm. Just allow that to occur. Start to appreciate the quiet of your mind when you don't try to understand your thoughts. When you see them as just a flow of energy moving through you that you don't have to do anything about. The moment you realize there's nothing to achieve, nothing to accomplish, then your mind becomes as relaxed as your body. And just sit for a moment in this relaxed state of mind, just surrendering the body. And recognize how contented you feel. No matter what sounds happen in the outside world, just breathe the quiet into your mind, focusing on nothing other than you. Just be still and enjoy the moment. And just start to take a deeper breath. With each deeper breath you take into your body, you will feel that your mind and brain become more activated, that your consciousness becomes more connected to the room again, that you feel the urge to stretch your body, to open your eyes and be present back in the here and now. This simple exercise of sitting in the power or sitting in the silence can be done anytime. It's just a simple form of meditation that trains you to train your mind into not being controlled by your thinking, not being distracted by other events caused by people around you, and being able to sometimes detach yourself from emotional situations. You see, as a medium, I have learned how to be non-emotional, because most of the situations I find myself in with other people are deeply emotional. Like the couple I mentioned earlier, whose son had died suddenly. To sit in the energy of such heavy emotions means that you have to become strong. You have to be an emotional lifeguard to pull these people out of these heavy emotional seas that they go into. You can't go in there with them, you have to learn to take them out. And it's by doing meditative practices like sitting in the power that you can actually control your mind not to be affected by other people's grief. This is something that works well through your everyday life though, because even in situations where you are caught up with people's emotions, you can quite easily see through to the cause of that and bring calm to the situation. A good medium is someone who can use their training to bring all sorts of calm to different emotional turbulence. The one thing that a medium does is never gets afraid of situations. Your sensitivity to different situations will grow. You will start to sense things. Often I'm asked if I walk into a house or a particular place, do I sense the atmosphere? Do I sense changes in the energy? And yes, I do. I don't have to. I have learned how to switch my sensitivity off when I don't want it to. So I can quite happily go to places and not sense it. But if I do want to tune into emotional events that have taken place in a particular building, yes, I can do that and have done that. It wouldn't be the first time that I've gone into some old hotel and actually sensed the presence or the energy of people who used to live there many years before. There's nothing much you can do about these things other than either experience it and learn about the history of the place, or you can learn to switch it off, as I say. Many people who have these natural gifts are unaware that they can switch them off. This is again why I offer training to people, so that I can teach them how to work within that power that we call mediumship, and also how to switch it off so that it doesn't affect you when you're in your everyday life having a drink in a bar. You don't want to be bothered by the atmosphere and spirits and things, so you learn, switch it off. Anybody who's having problems with the idea that spirits are always around them should attend some kind of training class where they can be taught how to take control of their gift. And the moment you take control of it, it becomes a wonderful asset, because it means you only use it when it's required to help other people. One of the things I most love about what I do is to see a person who has been very broken and then see them coming back to life and seeing the light coming back into their eyes. That is one of the most, or the greatest reward, I would say, that I get as a medium. And I don't know how many times I've experienced that, so I'm a very lucky man. I want people who have this gift to wake up and to come forward and to be taught so that they can do the same thing as me. You know, this isn't a new thing. Mediums have been around since man has been on this planet. It's just coming into the fore again and becoming more apparent because the world is becoming a scary place again. You see, mediumship becomes much stronger when people in this world are afraid. And I would say that the greatest time in the history of mediums was probably during the First and Second World Wars. This is when great mediums lived on this world. Fabulous mediums who really could give incredible evidence of life after death. One such woman was an English lady called Helen Hughes. And I became fascinated with this woman as a medium because during the war she could stand in a hall with maybe 2,000 people there, all grieving, all of them desperate to get a message from a loved one, maybe to hear something that gave them hope that there was a life after death. Mrs. Hughes could stand in a hall with 2,000 strangers and just pick people out at random and tell them, your son's here, his name's David, he died on the 14th of August. He is with his father, whose name's William, and so on and so forth. And she would give them evidence not only about the names, the times they died, how they lived, but she would also give them current information that tells them this is not just about somebody's past. This is informing you things that are happening now, since they have died. Now, this is great evidence that the consciousness or the spirit that has passed out of this world can still give us current information. Now, that tells me that there is a life after death and that those two worlds can come together. As I say, mediumship becomes very strong in this world when we need it, when people become afraid. And during the war, there were thousands of really well-trusted mediums working around Europe, giving hope and healing and bringing back happiness to families who were broken because of the disasters that were happening. I've often wondered as I watch all of my new students and how strong their gifts are becoming, that they are needed at the moment because of the world we live in. As I say, it can be scary. And because we are informed constantly by the newsreels and by all the different now social medias and so on and so forth, there's a lot of bad news out there. So to be able to train your mind to lift above that is a wonderful asset. So it doesn't only help the people that you're training to use it for, it helps you. It brings you contentment and total balance as you walk through this life. I really want people who come along to see what I do to go away feeling the happiness that I feel. Just imagine the people that you love right now and how much you love them. So much so that you're afraid you're going to lose them. And yet, if somebody could tell you that's never going to happen, if somebody could reassure you that you will always know them, that beyond this life, you will always be together, that you might even come back into another life together, probably. The reason we do that is because we love each other. And that bond of love is the thing that cannot die. You see, the one thing that has proved itself to me over and over again is that love is the one constant that never dies. So when you truly love someone, you can't really lose them. You just find them in another form, and that form is consciousness. The people that come along to see me should know that who they begin as when they walk in the door and all the questions they have, they'll probably change by the time they leave. Because for me, everybody who has these questions deserves answers, but answers that satisfy them, answers that actually probably bring about even more questions, because I suppose anybody who deals in the subject that I deal in life after death, mediumship and messages from the other world, quite often when we tell somebody a truth in answer to a confusing question that they have, even if they get satisfaction from that, normally what happens is another question is born, because the nature of mediumship is to expand the mind, not just to satisfy somebody, it's to actually make them grow and expand. And this is the nature of your own human spirit, is to get bigger, to get stronger, to become more knowledgeable, to become more loving. And the only way you can do that is to examine everything about your existence. I think it was Socrates who said, the unexamined life is not worth living. And it's something that I totally prove to people, that the unexamined life is not worth living. You have to examine everything. I think today people want more and more to know more about spirituality over religion. The word religion's a bit old now, and I think so many people have felt let down by it. But spirituality is individual, and it's your responsibility to develop your own spirituality and use your spirituality in the most positive and loving way. So, I would hope that anybody who wants to come and see what I do will come and see me here in Basel, as I appear here many times in the year and give teachings, give demonstrations of mediumship, and hopefully, well, not hopefully, I know, bring a lot of hope and healing to people's hearts. So if you do want to come, please click the link at the bottom, and I will look forward to seeing all of you, and I look forward to lifting up your hearts and minds and teaching you. You can't die.